It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful middle of January Tuesday. Temperatures up in the mid-60s. Not going to necessarily last, but enjoy it while it does because it's pretty cool stuff. Let's call roll. Let's get this thing going. Let's head up to the plateau. Say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm doing great. What a beautiful day, man. January, middle of January. Let's don't fuss.
No.
Let's enjoy what we got because we know what we got coming.
Oh,
If you've lived in this state long enough, you know what's still coming the next 6 weeks.
Yep. Bingo. So did you watch the game last night?
Oh, yeah, I watched it. Gosh.
We'll have a lot to talk about with that later.
Yeah, disappointed.
Yeah, there's a lot to yap about. Billy, did you watch it last night?
I did, George. I watched it as much as I could. I was really just watching in the second half to see if Marr would miss another field goal and break. Not that he hadn't already broken a record, but why not break another one if there's any more to break?
Nice attitude. So Michael Cindric from Arlington, Texas, is the Cowboy fan, and even you, as good as the win was, looked like you struggled with Brett Maher.
That was frustrating. Yeah, I had a lot of buddies texting me back home, and the theme was not how great the Cowboys were playing. It was what in the world is going on with our kicker. Probably that's going to cost us at some point. I mean, if you can't get that figured out, you don't want to go into a game against the Niners with no kicking game. I felt like we had the better team last night. I've said that yesterday, and felt good about that, but I don't feel that confident about the Niners. So we better get it figured out. I don't even know. Can we pick up a kicker? Is that
you can?
Can you do that?
You can bring kickers in right now. Watson, let me ask you this: on the flight home, I'm betting that Maher's seat was a little warm.
Yeah, it was probably because there was a big body sitting next to him named the head coach. That was probably having a real nice conversation with him.
How do you handle that?
Well, you just got to feel like if this is permanent or if he can get over it. I mean, it got his attention. Best thing that happened, in my opinion, for him, the kicker, is that the head coach passed him on a field goal and went for it and scored a touchdown. And I think it got his attention, and then he went out and kicked the extra point. And he said, look, I can choke all I want, but I'm fixing not to have a job if I don't pick it up. Maybe that helped him. We'll see in practice. The thing that scares me about it, guys, is he missed his last extra point in the Commanders game. Yes. So he has now missed 5 in a row till he made the one last night late.
So is it me, or did it look like they had the ball way too far to the left hash mark? Farther than normal.
That's probably his preference, though, which is crazy.
You get to decide. That's what he wants.
Yeah, they get to decide. That's what he wants. And, man, he just could not. He had no – it seemed like by the third field goal or third PAT, it felt like those goalposts were about that wide. He just – it was so bad to watch. I felt bad for – you feel bad for the guy when you're watching that.
It looked to me like, George, some of my 4-foot putts.
Oh, no. Hold on.
It looked just like some of my 4-footers, man. You kind of aim those, and it kind of floats off to the right. Boy, I missed that read. No, you didn't.
It doesn't look like that. It looked like my middle of the fairway stuff.
It looked like one of your worm burn tee shots. Yeah. You're one of the few guys I've been told that can hit a tee shot and slice one on the ground. That he can even slice while it's on the ground. I've been told that. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know who you've gotten that from.
I'm just telling you, I've been told George Plaster is the only guy I know that can hit a T-ball. It can be on the ground, and it can still curve to the right.
That's
even while it's rolling.
Yeah, you know who it is.
I'm not telling you who it is.
I don't know. I don't know, but
let's just say the person that told me that you have known really well. So
yes. So that might fit the description.
Yeah.
Not a younger gentleman, is it?
Okay. You could probably do that.
Yeah. Not a younger gentleman.
No. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
You're on the right track.
Seems like I am.
Know who it was. Yeah.
Okay, Billy, we have an update. This is a good time to get off of that subject, which was not going anywhere good. So take it away.
Yeah, George, let's start with the Preds last night. They snapped a 3-game skid with a 2-1 win over Calgary last night at Bridgestone. I don't know how you pronounce this guy's name, but Juuso Parssinen extended his point streak to 7 games, tying the franchise record for a rookie. Roman Josi scored his 12th goal of the season, and UC Saros keeps playing well. So the problem is they can't string any together, it feels like, more than 2 or 3.
They better string one together tonight. They got Columbus at 7:00. That's a game they got to win, period.
No doubt.
End of story.
Well, George, another game. There's some games tonight in college basketball. Tennessee needs to win tonight. They're in Starkville against Mississippi State. 6:00 tip-off down there. They're trying to bounce back after the Kentucky loss. Meanwhile, Alabama is in Nashville tonight against Vanderbilt. Vandy hasn't beaten a top 5 team at Memorial since 2008 against Tennessee. Can they do it tonight?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Here's the thing you don't know with Alabama. Watson, they have that bus ride up here. I'm assuming they bussed up here.
Yeah, they did.
That bus ride had to be quiet. It had to be, trying to figure out the psyche of that team when you've got a player on your squad that has been charged with a capital murder. How do you make that work?
I don't know. We'll see tonight, because I think it's tough. And he wasn't a player. He wasn't playing. He wasn't on the bench. He's on the team, but still. And then I read this afternoon where investigators or whatever came out and said that he gave the gun, I guess, to the other. It was his gun that shot the guy. I don't know if that meant he gave it to the other guy and he shot him. It said he's the one that supplied the gun, so I guess that means maybe the other guy pulled the trigger. I don't know. It's bad, real bad.
It's so tragic either way, but it's even going to George, what you were saying about how can Alabama even think about a game? In basketball, you've got 12, 15 guys on a team. It's not like it's already horrific enough, period. But on a football team, you got 120 guys. Some guys might not even know other. It's a tight group in basketball. You got 12 guys that you're living with, alternating who you're staying in a hotel room with. That's what this is so close to home for that team. It's going to be. I have no idea how they're going to play, but man, it would take some insane focus and maturity to even be able to come out and play well.
Billy, the one you didn't list on there is Belmont and Murray tonight at 7:30. No, I take that back, at 8:00 at the Curb Events Center, and it's on CBS Sports Network.
Yes, it is. Big spotlight for them tonight. We'll have Taylor Barnette on a little bit later to get into that. But, George, we've got some NFL news here. The Chargers have fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, and quarterbacks coach Shane Day. Of course, we know they held a 27-0 lead against Jacksonville. They only scored 3 points in the remainder of that game. So I don't know if you call this scapegoat scenario here, but
yeah,
we've said that before.
You knew this was coming, Watson. It was just a question of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm getting rid of you. Boom.
Well, as soon as the game was over, the players that took up for the head coach, big time players on the team, took up for the head coach. I knew he wasn't getting it, and so somebody had to bite the bullet. And I guess they thought it was the offensive side, even though really I thought it was philosophical in the second half myself. I didn't like the way they played it out at all. And which comes back to the head coach. That doesn't mean he should have been fired. I just didn't think he did a good job in the second half. He did do a good job through the season because it's a talented team, but they were probably second to us in number of injuries and real critical injuries throughout the year. So I think they did a good job getting to the playoffs, to tell you the truth.
What do you guys think about it seems to me when you've got a young quarterback, one of the best things that you can do is get him an offensive head coach. And Brandon Staley is not that. Are you a buyer of that logic? I mean, it just seems like Trevor Lawrence to have a Doug Peterson or Patrick Mahomes to have an Andy Reid is such a big advantage when you've got a young franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I can give you, there's examples of the opposite. So I don't know. You got to have a good guy coaching the quarterback and run the offense.
Right.
If you're paying him $10 million and he's the second in charge and he's good, I'm okay. I mean, Josh Allen doesn't have that.
Right.
Buffalo Bills guy is a defensive coach. So good point. But again, I think it's too much situational, meaning this situation, who is it? And I did not like the flow of the Chargers offense, Michael, all year. I just didn't like it.
Yep.
And I thought that the quarterback was just making plays a lot on his own. I didn't feel the flow I feel in Kansas City.
Right.
Even the flow you feel in Buffalo. I mean, they don't run it well, but they had a plan. I mean, Josh Allen was going to carry it 10, 12 times a game, going to carry all the critical runs. They always had a speed back in the backfield that could do a lot of different things. They had a plan, and I just never felt the Chargers really had a plan. Honestly, the Titans guys had a plan, and it worked when they were healthy and everybody was there, but at least they had a plan. I just didn't feel the Chargers all year had that.
Yeah.
Big issue on Brandon Staley. The talking heads nationally have had a field day with him because he's done some things in the first year and a half as head coach that made no sense. He toned down some of the stupid stuff at the back end of this season. But I'm kind of like Watson. When I would watch the Chargers, something didn't look right. Yeah. Something round peg, square hole. Now, the injuries didn't help. And I'll say this, Brandon Staley's getting this one freebie. The next go round, it'll be him.
Yeah, no doubt. He's going to be the next head to roll, which is a sad thing. But yeah, Watson, you're so right. It's all about, having an identity. And every team, every offense, every defense, every offense has a different identity. But oftentimes the teams that are most successful aren't the ones that are calling the coolest plays or doing it's just the teams that know who they are and can execute it better than who other teams are.
Totally, it's a philosophy that everybody buys into,
right,
on the team, not just the offense, but the whole team buys into it, and then it'll work. If you're all over the place and nobody can buy into anything, it's going to get you when you get to this point, because you get to this point now, you're not better than half the people you're playing. It's like the Titans this year, guys. They won most every game of the teams they were better than. They didn't beat a team with a winning record. So, I mean, it catches up with you when you play the better teams. That's why I think it's such a fine line. And the philosophy of what you do and everybody buying into it is the number one piece, in my personal opinion. And the quarterback's the first guy that's got to buy into whatever that philosophy is.
Yep.
I thought it's hurt the Bucs all year because they didn't have a philosophy. They didn't look like the Bucs teams I watched win it 2 years ago, or even last year. They were all over the place. And again, George, injury. They had a bunch of them too, but they just didn't. They didn't have a feel, and I bet you their coordinator's going to get fired before the week's over. I just afraid he's going to get fired.
Right.
Well, another coordinator to get fired was in Cleveland. They fired their defensive coordinator, Joe Woods, after their defense ranked 19th in defensive efficiency, finished with a 7-10 record. Jim Schwartz is going to be their defensive coordinator.
Happy for Jim.
Good
Jim
hire.
Is a good man. That is a good hire. He did a really much better job in Philly than he got credit for. And this guy can coach.
Am I stupid? Was he on the Titans staff this
year? Absolutely.
Or last
year? He was an analyst.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was one of what in college they call it an analyst. Now I think they call it in the pros a senior associate or a senior assistant or something like that. But anyway, he was on the staff. Yeah.
Watson, Saban's got 20 of those analysts. They're all the fired coaches from the Power Five.
I think you're being low, buddy. I think it's higher than that.
You're probably right. They're just waiting for their next call up.
Well, okay. What is the number?
It's like 30,000, I think.
I don't know what the number is, but I think that's low.
You talking about their pay?
No.
How many of them
watched them warm up the other night?
How many guys are on that
in the Sugar Bowl? When you watched Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and what they do is they had to line up a bunch of people because they were going by the opposing team to their end of the field. There must have been 100 people, 100 coaches lined up to make sure the players got by this team. I'm saying, my God, I had 10. That's what I had. 10 guys. 10 guys, George, at Vanderbilt, 10 guys at Cincinnati. I had 10 guys. And that's where I think there was 100 of them.
Whenever
all in crimson shirts as they walk by.
Whenever Kingsbury gets back from his little one-way ticket vacation, I'm sure he'll be on the sideline with Saban right there with him.
Funded by Tide Pride. Okay, you got one more?
One more, George. Joe Burrow. This is not a piece of news, but Bengals team president Mike Brown said that he hopes Burrow enjoys a long career in Cincinnati, but he understands that it'll come at a price for the franchise. And, we heard Joe Burrow talk about, he is the window. As long as he's there, the window's always open. And so that's such a shocker, isn't it? They want Joe Burrow.
I love it. He's got it because he's got an arrogance with some humility that goes with it. He handles the arrogance really, really well. He does.
He does.
I'm telling you, he never thinks that he's ever going to lose anything.
No. It's a likable arrogance, isn't it, Watson?
I don't care what it is. Guys, there hadn't been enough talked about this game this weekend with those two teams playing each other again. Within 2 weeks of number 3 going down.
Yep.
And here they are playing each other again. It is a major disadvantage to Cincinnati because Cincinnati was going to win that game that night. This game would be in Cincinnati this weekend if that hadn't happened. But it did happen. It was handled first class by both teams. There's got to be a weird feeling when they walk out on the field against each other, even though it's in a different venue, but it's still the same two teams. And I wonder if DeMar will be there, if he's going to be healthy enough. Maybe he wasn't at the last one.
He was there at the last one.
No, he wasn't at the game.
He was at home.
He was at home in the last one. He came by the facility on Saturday.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah.
But I wonder if he's there this weekend when this goes down. But it's eerie that here they are playing each other again within a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay, after the break, Knoxville sports talk show host Tony Basilio will join us. We'll talk about the Vols' loss to Kentucky and how the fan base has reacted to Saturday's disappointment at Thompson Bowling. Then at 3 o'clock, former Belmont basketball star Taylor Barnette to talk a little bit about the Bruins and Murray State tonight, but also he's from Lexington. I bet he's got some opinions. Stick around.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Oh, yeah. A Tuesday afternoon would not be complete without going to Knoxville and saying hello to our man, Knoxville sports talk show host, Tony Basilio from his, I was going to say mansion. Abode. I like that. From your abode. So you got to help me with this because you know the lay of the land here better than I do. Rick Barnes has so many good qualities about him. And there's no doubt that he has gotten this program to a certain level. But Saturday, when they weren't able to knock down the Kentucky door, you heard a lot of the he can't ever win the big one, blah, blah, blah. How much of that gets put out there in Knoxville?
Our postgame show was unbelievable. I mean, I told the audience the other day, look, I don't tell anybody how to think. It's just not my style. I mean, and we can only give our opinion. And then I had some people today, because we got into it a little bit today. People said, which, George, just had slipped my mind, but after the Grant and Admiral year where Tennessee was number one for several weeks, and then they got beaten in the round of 16 by Purdue, it was a great season for the Vols. Team probably should have done a little more. Barnes has been marked by his inability to win in the postseason, which is one of the reasons why Texas fans got kind of bored with him. Veteran coaches say after 10 or so years, they get tired of your speeches, they get tired of your magic tricks. And for most guys, it's time to move on down the road. But after that year, he openly flirted with UCLA. Not only did he openly flirt with UCLA, but he told the Tennessee media that if UCLA would have paid his buyout, he would have left. Now, I don't think that's a very intelligent thing to say out loud, personally. Because once you do, how do you come back from that? There are always going to be people that are going to circle that or underline that. And that's not something that gets underlined in pencil. That's in pen. That's in bold point. When a coach says, if that school over there would have paid my buyout, I wouldn't be here right now. It's really just a not smart thing to say. And I thought Tennessee fans really overreacted to what happened with Kentucky the other day. Because as we know, you play 30 some odd of these games and, you're judged by what you do in March. You're not judged by a January basketball game against Kentucky in Knoxville. I thought our fans way overreacted here.
When you watch him, there are a lot of strengths to him. He seems like from afar a really respectable person, really respectable coach, thought of well in the business. Is there a weakness that is obvious? And I guess I'm going to throw this theory out there that you hear that, look, he doesn't put up with a lot of crap. And I admire that. But is there a point of diminishing returns when you get toward March?
I don't know. I mean, that'd be a great question for Watson. To me, basketball is a rhythmic sport. And the guys down through the years that have figured out are the ones that know when to, with a horse, when to use the whip, and those that know when to pull it off. And Barnes is pretty hardcore. I mean, he loves accruing regular season wins. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think everybody loves winning, don't they? Last time I checked. But, boy, I'll tell you, we were looking up today. His number is unbelievable. Like tonight, Tennessee plays the second of 2 with Mississippi State. His number is unbelievable in those second games. And then, we were talking about Kentucky. Since he's been here, Tennessee's never had a losing season to the University of Kentucky. And they've played them 3 times a few times. And when they play them 3 times, they beat them in March. And so, or he beats them twice during the regular season and Kentucky beats them in March. But he's never been on the downside of the Kentucky series. So he knows what he's doing. I just think, March basketball, some guys have a knack for it. Some guys don't. For whatever reason, he just doesn't have a knack for it.
Okay, Watson, you kind of step in here because I know you've had this theory a little bit, if memory serves me correctly, that maybe he gets to March and the message and the way he delivers it seems to get old.
That's what Ronnie B is big on that one, George. And I think Tony, I know Coach Barnes. I really like him. I respect him as much as I like him, tell you the truth. My brother was with him at Texas, absolutely loves him. Just absolutely loves him. What I see in Coach Barnes, Tony, he coaches the basketball team like a football coach, which I absolutely love. And I'm not sure that as the year goes on, that football coach mentality might wear on him a little bit. He makes them play. If I've seen one thing that I don't know how you get past, he makes them play so hard all the time. And if you're not playing hard, your butt is out of there. I mean, he'll jerk one off the floor in a heartbeat if he thinks they're not hustling. We did that in football all the time. I mean, you might not know it because 2 or 3 coming on and off the field out like every other play. So, but man, if I ever saw one out there that didn't hustle to the ball or whatever, he's out of the game on the spot. And he wouldn't come to me because he knew why he came out. And that's what I see in Coach Barnes. And I just wonder sometimes if that all-out mentality all the time. See, you only do it 12, 13 times, 14, 15 now. It's fixing to get more. And yet you're doing it twice a week instead of once a week in basketball. And I just wonder, Tony, sometimes if that doesn't at some point wear on the kid a little bit.
And my answer to that would be you're dealing with a veteran coach, right? Who knows he's not good in March.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think at some point that if you're him, you would evaluate, right? And say, okay, am I too hardcore? Do I need to dial it back a little bit? I mean, the other day, guys, Tennessee got beat by Kentucky because they couldn't make layups. They were 10 of 21 in the game. And I just think it's weird that we're having a conversation about March after Tennessee loses to Kentucky in January. Now, I'm not saying it's not a worthwhile conversation because I think it's certainly a worthwhile conversation. But I just wonder sometimes, Watson, with coaches like him that are super successful, if you can tell them anything.
We all can be our own worst enemy. I own up to that.
Yeah,
I own up to it myself. And some of and not to say I was one of those great coaches, but I'm a coach.
Yeah,
that I would be hard-headed as the Dickens. I wouldn't even listen to my assistants at times.
Yeah.
I look back on it now, 46 years later, Tony, and I say that's kind of stupid. Let them talk it out. Listen to them, then make up your mind instead of just cutting it off. And that hurts in 2 ways. Number one, you're not getting a second opinion. Number two, the attitude you're giving that guy is, well, don't do that again. So you're cutting your coaches off when you do that. He's smart as a tack. I don't personally know that March isn't just luck of the draw.
I know.
Sometimes you get in these dang games, man, and they go to the wire. Most of them do nowadays.
Yep.
And you don't win them. The one thing through the years with him, I've seen it big time at Tennessee, when they lose, it's never on defense. When they lose, it's on offense. They just can't score in days.
Right.
And it seems like some of Rick's teams, Tony, when they can't score, they can't score. I mean, it's not like, we're 40% today. We're 35%. Man, sometimes it's like missing all those layups. And the second thing I want you to comment on, Kentucky has got good players, man. When they come to play like they did the other night, I don't know who would have beat them. Anybody, because they were into it. And they played the way I think Kentucky's got to play. All out. We talked about this earlier in the week. Just balls out, man. I mean,
right.
They don't have shooters. They're not what they usually are. They got a bunch of athletes, and you get them playing hard, and you get them guarding like that, and you get them rebounding, and you're rolling them in and out of a game, and you're playing 12, 13 guys, and their egos will let you do that. You can beat people that way too. And that's what Kentucky did the other night. Anybody was going to have trouble with that Kentucky team the other day now, as hard as that bunch played.
Well, and that's the truth. So, and Calipari said, look, because Tennessee bullies teams. That's their formula. That's what Rick did at Texas. They bully people. Defensively, they bully people. And they're used to people walking away from the fight. Kentucky pushed back the other night. Kentucky was down 8-0 early. And they just said, we're just kind of not going to take it. They out-rebounded Tennessee by 20 in Tennessee's building, which is just unheard of. And they won a game only making 7 field goals. Kentucky made 7 field goals in the second half and won a basketball game.
So I'm telling you.
That doesn't happen. It just doesn't. Right. That's called, I wanted it more than you did. I couldn't throw it in the ocean just like you couldn't throw it in the ocean. But every time there's a loose ball, I'm going to go get it and you're not. And I'm just going to beat you to the spot. And if it takes 3 shots to get a ball in, then we're going to get 3 shots at it to get a ball in. In terms of Barnes, and the points you're making about running the team into the ground, the thing they're doing this year that's interesting that I just want to put on both of your radar is they're playing a lot more people. And they're really dispersing their minutes. I think he's trying to be conscious of not burning his guys out this year. And he has the luxury of doing that. The issue for them right now, as I see it, and you talked about this, and he ran into this at times at Texas, and we were talking about the different reasons why. And Matt Dixon, who's on with me, had a really good thought today, which is his style of play is so team-oriented. And March games come down to who's my star player, who am I going to hand the ball to whom is the responsibility going to fall with 90 seconds left to get us home in this close game. And I'll be honest with you guys, on this basketball team this year, I don't think anybody, including the head coach, knows the answer to that question. That's not a good thing in mid-January when that's the case. They have a lot of good players. Do they have somebody with 90 seconds, 120 seconds that you give the ball to?
Yeah, and maybe they fall into that, Tony, as the year goes on. I think they will, because there are some stars on that team.
Yeah.
But you kind of got to let them be stars. And I can vividly remember, and I go back and be hard on myself, I was one of those guys that would want to beat you with structure, Tony.
Yep.
We're going to run this, and you can't stop it. And as I got older, I realized I need to be thinking more about how to get the ball to this guy and how to get the ball to this guy than just calling a play and beating you with structure. And I think sometimes that does happen to his teams because he is such a structured coach. He's such a disciplined guy. I would love for my kid to play for Coach Barnes. If I had a basketball player, because I think he teaches them the right thing. He teaches them to be tough. He teaches them to be team players, always put the team first. I just love all that about him. I think it'll work out, Tony. I think they're going to they're going to go further this year than they've been going, in my opinion. I just believe it'll work out as this year goes on.
Well, you nailed. You're like the prophet on my program. The prophet. I mean, we're going to have a reading from the Book of Watson tomorrow, George, and I'm going to share with people
that
the
book's
prophet
2
Watson
pages
Brown.
long.
Well, the prophet Watson Brown has said that team's going to go further this year, George. So
I think they are.
Let it be so.
I'm now for
happen.
The Godfather.
Yes.
Give me a break.
Tony, you have not met the newest third person in our deal. Young guy from Arlington, Texas, Michael Cendrick.
Hey,
Michael was warned ahead of time. Get out before you get in, and he's still here.
Nice to meet you, Michael.
Tony, nice to meet you as well. Quick question for you. You talked about, one of the things you mentioned was the problem is that they've got, 8 to 10 guys and they're all good players, but who's the guy? Just from your perspective, whether you're at the game or you're watching from your house on TV and you're yelling at the TV with a minute and a half left, get it to, what do you want to see when you're ready to pull your hair out with Tennessee of who's the guy in your opinion, or what's the late game? Where do you want to see the ball go? And who do you kind of want to see take over the game?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, you would think that, Vescovi's their senior shooter. Problem with him is he can't get his own shot.
Yeah.
And so to Watson's point, you almost have to call a number. And that's kind of not what they do. Watson will appreciate this, and George will. You're kind of a young guy, but Ray Mears, I got to know him when I came back here and got on the radio in the 90s. And he pulled me aside one day and he said, "What do you think of the star system?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about, Coach, but if you want to educate me, I'm here." And he said, "Let me tell you something about the stars. When I coached, we had a star system." He said, "A lot of these coaches today won't do this because they don't have the guts." He said, "But I used to walk up to guys and say, your job's not to shoot the basketball. I don't want you shooting. The coach over there wants you shooting the ball. I don't want you shooting. I want him, and him shooting. And you guys are going to do what you're going to do out here. But you're not going to shoot. But you're not going to shoot." And sometimes I wonder, like Watson's talking about, sometimes I wonder if the game's better because these coaches all game plan around not wanting the better players to have the ball. Kentucky did a really smart thing the other day on Tennessee that nobody's done all year, which is they jumped out and defended 30 feet. And they used their length, and they said, if you're going to beat us, you're going to drive around us, but we're not going to let you guys get your open sets. We're not going to let you get in your rotations. We're not going to let you get comfortable. And it really worked on Tennessee. Again, Kentucky shot 30% from the floor, 31% won a game, making seven field goals in the second half. But they got the line a bunch, the Wildcats did, because they kind of outworked the Vols. In terms of who you put the ball in the hands of, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know.
Let me try you with this one then. Obviously, every player goes through improvement each year, right? When you're a senior like Vescovi, not that he didn't have more ceiling to grow in, but he's most likely going to be kind of the player that he is for the most part. Give me a young guy, or give me just a guy in general that you see, man, if he can make a step from where he's at now to a big step in a month or in 2 months, this could elevate Tennessee to, not a surefire Final Four. You can't just predict. You can't just go ahead and lock that in, but this could really make Tennessee even more dangerous team.
Well, I'll give you two of them. One of them's a senior, Olivia Cumwell, who at times when he plays really well, they blow people out. Now, he was wallpaper Saturday. He drives the coaches crazy because he's so good, so athletic, so talented. He played on the summer circuit and played against high-level pros and played really well in the summer over in Europe in a European tournament. Was really good there. And he's had his moments here. He's had his moments this year. The second guy is Jonas Adu, who's a sophomore big man. The thing this staff really does is they develop players. This Plavsic guy, when he first got here as a transfer player from Arizona State, couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. He was really good over the weekend. Now, he's got his limitations. As well as he played, he only grabbed a couple of rebounds in that game. And he didn't get his first one until there was like 10 minutes left in the game. So he's just not, he kind of is what he is, sort of a stationary big body. This Jonas Adu guy has the ability to alter shots defensively. And on the offensive end, he can give them a little extra something. He can shoot the ball. He's getting more confident. And that's a guy I would watch. I think as his game grows, Tennessee's opportunities to do great things grow. The problem Tennessee has is they only have one true point guard on the roster, Zakai Ziegler, and he's a little guy, and he's going to wear down. And everybody knows that. Now, the key kid, who's a mid-state player, who they got from Indiana State out of the transfer portal last year, was more of a scorer at his level. They're trying to turn him into kind of a combo guard, and I don't think playing point guard is his thing. So Tennessee right now is a point guard short on this basketball team. It's where they are.
Okay, you want the best Ray Mears story in the history
Give me a Ray Mears
of Ray
story.
Mears
I love
story?
Ray. Yes.
Oh, you will love this one. So through CM Newton, I had gotten to know Coach Mears, after he left Tennessee, and Coach Newton, having fun, said, George is one of these people that grew up throwing oranges at you, because Tennessee Vandy game at Memorial Gym, and when I was growing up, could get ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, after I get back from Memphis State, this is in 1988, I'm doing a Sunday night show, a 2-hour kind of long form deal at the Box Seat in Green Hills. Ray Mears agrees to be the guest, and he is fabulous. The place is packed. So we get about an hour in, and I said, Coach, I want to ask you about the rivalry with Kentucky. You had the best record against Adolph Rupp of anybody. You were 14-14. Talk to me about the rivalry and why you had the success you did. So he starts in and he's telling me about, and he would talk loud. And so he's telling me, we had our moments because we did this, we did that, we did this. And all of a sudden there's a long pause and he goes, Kentucky, those bastards. And I just was like, oh my God, you do not hear that on live radio very often. And the place went nuts. And he never thought a thing about it.
Right.
You know how he was. Unfiltered.
I enjoyed him. I look back on that. Talk about things you don't appreciate when they're happening. He just befriended me. I was a kid. He enjoyed me because I kind of don't care and he doesn't care. And I think he enjoyed that. And we just kind of loved each other. And I was just a kid. If I could do that all over again, man, I would have spent so much more time with that guy.
Good man.
Because truly, when you're a kid, you just think it's never going to end. You just think it's never going to end. And he was just such a, he could just tell stories, and he could just tell stories, and he just, about all these old classic coaches and these experiences he had. And, my one wish would have been through time is if we would have had the drugs for depression that we have now. Yeah. Instead of the crude things that he had to go through, because he would tell me about the electroshock and the things that would have to do to him. Yeah. When he would get out of his body got out of whack, and he would have been absolutely amazing. I think he would have coached to the early 90s like Dean Smith did, because they were roughly around the same age. Right. And I think he would have been unbelievably known right now because of the ESPN age. Imagine if Ray Mears' games,
oh my God,
would have been on early cable with the unicycles and the Dick Vitale and the juggler chairs and the coming out. He told me about Nashville one time, George. He said, Tony, I used to love coming out there by myself and having them throw things at me. He said, one time I stood on the chair down there. He said, I loved inciting those people. He said, I had so much fun with those people.
And he did. Thank you for sharing all this stuff.
Thank you, guys.
You take care. We'll do it again next week.
Appreciate you guys.
Holler at me, Tony.
You got it, brother.
Call, babe.
You got it. Thank you.
See ya.
So my X-rated story is out there now. Coach Mears was the best. I loved him. We'll come back and talk about Tom Brady next.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Okay, so Dallas wins last night. We don't know if it's Tom Brady's last game. We don't even know if it's Tom Brady's last game in Tampa. We've all got our suspicions. Who knows what's really what? Because as Watson said earlier, I'm not even sure Tom Brady knows. So let's get y'all's theories. Watson, let's start with you. What's next?
I don't think he'll rush this one. I think he's going to take his time here. He's going to decide first if he wants to play anymore. And then the second decision is going to be where. And so there's two pieces, I think. He rushed the last one, George, in my opinion, and then had to change his mind. And, man, that didn't go over well in a lot of different ways. I just think now he's going to take his time because all year long, he is the GOAT, but he's a human being. And I just think this whole situation has eat him up. He lost a ton of money in this scheme of that we all know about that went down. Tom had a lot of money. He also had a lot of Giselle's money in that. I'm not so sure that isn't part of why they divorced. I mean, guys, we're talking about a ton of money, millions and millions of dollars. And he's being sued by it. You've got that, a divorce. You're not around your kids all the time. You've got them some of the time, but not all the time. He had so much on his plate. He just hadn't looked good all year long. I think it rubbed off on the team. When your leader has those kind of problems, I think the team feels the whole piece. Saw it again last night. My concern, George and Michael, is I see now a physical piece that bothers me. There's a physical piece. He can fix the mental piece with a good offseason, get everything stable. But the physical piece is he's throwing the ball much quicker than I've ever seen him let it go. He's not letting things develop. He's flinching when he throws a lot now. There's things I'm seeing. I still think the arm strength is there, but I'm just seeing some fit. He doesn't have the quickness in the pocket he used to have. He's really slow in reacting and getting out of pockets. Honestly, sometimes now doesn't even try. He'll just fall to the ground or somebody gets around him and he kind of just humps up and let them have him. I worry about him physically a little bit. I think he can get past the emotional piece. I said to Michael earlier, I think if he comes back, I think one of the main reasons he will, George, is that he wants to not go out the way he went out, because he knows he wasn't right all year. His mind was not right all year long, and I think he'd like one more shot of being Tom Brady again. I just wonder physically if it hadn't finally caught up to him a little bit.
Watson, I think honestly think you're spot on with everything that, you talked a lot about the mental, everything outside of football, but also, I mean, with football as well. I think he's got to go somewhere that's got a running game. I don't think that he can be the guy to throw the ball 55 times a game and that's successful. It was interesting last night. I think even an 8-9 Tampa Bay team that really wasn't all that good, when you look at it compared to Dallas. I mean, Dallas had a much better team. It's still just because of the fact that you've got Tom Brady. I mean, we were talking about it. We were laughing about it yesterday on the show. You just still feel like they got a chance. And when I watched last night, I didn't see the Tom Brady that just makes you feel like it doesn't matter what the score is, you got a chance. There was a regression there. I don't exactly know what it is, but there was something different. And I think that he's probably got to be honest with himself. Brady's still got a gun. He can still throw for a bunch of yards. That's not what I'm saying. But I think Brady was with New England for a long time, joined Tampa Bay, who had a really good roster at the time. He's got to find a situation where he doesn't have to be Superman, because he just couldn't do it last night against Dallas. I mean, Dallas was just better. And the whole aura of Tom Brady didn't mean all that much in last night's game. And so it's going to be interesting to see kind of if he does come back. I think he's going to have to be honest with himself. I think he's going to have to be with a team that he doesn't have to do everything. So
Marcus Spears said it today, and I've been thinking it. He doesn't want to get hit. And I don't blame him. He's 45, 46 years old.
No, neither did I.
Yeah, but this just
I haven't found a quarterback's honest that wants to get hit. I ain't found one of them yet.
Right, but he's playing the game that if you get anywhere near him, one of two things is going to happen. Either, as you said, he's just going to crumble into the ground. He's going to take the ball and just throw it in the dirt. And so when I hear all this stuff about the Titans are one of the teams, really? That offensive line, Tom Brady? Please. He wants to play two-hand touch.
Yeah, the reason, Tom, that we may see more of this, if the rules were what this was 30 years ago, more of these quarterbacks would still be playing. You just flat can't touch them. And I mean, you just flat can't touch them. What game was it this weekend where a guy tackled and rolled a guy over? I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. They throw a 15-yard penalty. I don't remember the game. But even at that, I still think Tom he feels it back there. And I think the reason he feels it, guys, is because he doesn't have the ability to get away. These young quarterbacks can get away. They can get out of there. They can get out of the pocket. They can move quick in the pocket and get rid of a ball. But I'm going to defend him as I always do quarterbacks. You know that, George. You get on me all the time. Look at the pocket that he had last night and look at the pocket that Prescott had last night.
Oh, it's not even.
Dak Prescott did not have a time that there wasn't a throwing lane in the pocket. And he could throw on time. And Tom was having to get rid of it quick half of the time. He threw high because of the pocket made him throw high some. I just think that he's got to be on a good team. I agree with Michael, but I don't think it's just a running game. I think he needs honestly, I'm not sure the best team for him to go to wouldn't be the one that he nearly went to last year that it didn't blow up before it happened, and that's Miami. With that speed they've got at receiver, and he can just get it out there quick to them and let them guys go. A solid running game behind it, a very good offensive line, and maybe the best defense in the league with San Francisco. That might be the two best defenses in pro football right now. I'm not so sure that wouldn't be the best team and let Tua back up from him. And Tua wouldn't want to do that, but I'm going to tell you, it would take Tua's career a long way, because what would he learn in that year backing up Tom Brady? Give him a chance to get healthy, because he hasn't been healthy since he's been in the league yet. He came in with a bad hip. He's had all kind of junk. I just think if I went anywhere, that'd be the place. He was going to own part of the team. Giselle is still down there with the kids. He'd be in the town with his children. I personally don't throw Miami just out just yet, because there had to be a connection with that owner and him for it to get as far as it did, guys, the last go around.
Could you imagine Mike McDaniel getting to work with Tom Brady?
Ooh. And for Tua too, what about learning how to get rid of the ball quickly under Brady?
Tua wouldn't want to do it. None of us would. But at the same time, what he would learn in that year, wow.
Yep.
Stat of the day is coming up. Then we'll be joined by former Belmont basketball star Taylor Barnette. His weekly visit comes up in about 5 minutes. Stick around. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the first hour of the George Plaster Show. Taylor Barnette is coming up, talk a little college hoops. But first, stat of the day. It is brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in the beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee, 204 East Depot Street. They're open Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5. Also Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. That's 931-492-4304. All right, let's get to stat of the day. See what Michael's got for us. It's interesting having Michael in person now. He gets to kind of stare you down a little bit, George. But here it is. When is the last season that neither Tom Brady nor Aaron Rodgers won a playoff game?
Oh, gosh.
Was it last year?
Well, hold on a second.
They both lose in the first round, didn't they?
Hold on. Let's think about that for a second. So Aaron Rodgers lost to San Fran at Lambeau. Tampa.
They beat Philadelphia.
Who?
Didn't they beat Philadelphia last year?
Tampa, yes, at home.
Yeah.
At home, beat them like 31-15.
Hey, Billy.
So it's not that one.
You stay out of this, Billy.
I didn't give him the answer. I'm just helping him out a little bit.
I do wonder if it's, was Aaron Rodgers playing at the point that Brady got hurt and it was Matt Castle?
That would be that was my thought as the other time that I might be thinking is the year Tom got hurt. And
don't know the year. I honestly don't remember the year. So you want to just put it up there and let's see.
That's all I got. That's as far as I can go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see it. 2009.
It's a long time.
Was that Matt Castle?
I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't even think to look at that. But that's what, 14 years? 13?
You know, that picture right there, Aaron looks like Fidel Castro a little bit.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So
that was Matt Castle.
It was Matt Castle. Watson,
that's
I consider that you and I have just knocked down the door on that one.
Yep, we got that one right.
Yeah, we do. So here in a moment, Taylor Barnette is going to join us. Taylor and Watson certainly know each other well. Taylor and I go back to some Belmont basketball days. Let's bring him up there real quickly, let you know what he looks like. Hello, Skinny.
Good afternoon. What's up, guys?
Good. Are we prepared to do what we talked about?
Oh, gosh. What is that?
What are you doing to him, George?
Talking to me?
You know exactly what it is. Okay, so
that's not much, George. But...
it's plenty enough. It's plenty enough. That's all. That's all he needs.
Are you going to sing for us again?
I did do that one time. So Watson, he takes a cheap shot at me on a Sunday night show. You had already been on. And he takes this cheap shot at me and says something about Adele. And then says, you don't even know who Adele is. And so I said, Adele, When We Were Young, which is a great song. Okay. But in his warped little mind, he sat there and said, there's no way this old fogey even knows who Adele is. Advantage? Plasmosis.
Yeah, but Taylor, 9 out of 10, you would have been dead right.
No question.
Just happened to hit the one that he knew. That was it. Believe me.
That's how I felt. And George also likes to act like he doesn't take cheap shots at others. He only.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
So where exactly are you? It looks like you're behind the Iron Curtain.
I am. That's exactly where I am.
Really?
No, where am I? I'm at my house.
Okay. You might want to consider, like we do here, some pictures, maybe some, some stuff in the background.
I don't want to really reveal, what my house looks like,
Well, I think you already have. It looks like there's not much there. So, okay, let's get to the important stuff. You grew up in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yep.
You know as well as anybody, if not better, how tough that fan base can be on whoever is sitting in that Kentucky basketball seat. The one thing that I thought Saturday was let's put an end to this. They don't have any talent. They've got talent. Now, what's been going on behind the scenes, I don't pretend to know, but I know dadgum good and well something's been going on. So take me through your theories as a Lexingtonian.
A Lexingtonian. Is that? I guess that is what we're called, huh?
Yes, I don't know.
I don't know either. I should know that, but I
Blue
don't.
Mister.
And yeah, it's. I grew up. Tubby Smith was the head coach when I was a kid. Then Billy Gillespie was the coach, and then John Calipari, when I was in high school, became the coach, and is obviously still there. It's a passionate fan base. It's very hard to please. You can't please everybody. And I think Cal said this maybe on Saturday or last week sometime that, it's Lexington's great, but it's really hard. You know, in the moments that are good, man, it's awesome. It's the best place to be. And when times get tough, it's one of the toughest places to be, because everyone really does care. And that's what you want. I mean, you want a passionate fan base. You want people that care and that support your program and show up to games and support the team. But it's a journey. Seasons are much, much longer than people realize. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I think people just expect immediate results. But when you get a team together, some old guys, some new guys, oftentimes with Kentucky, it's, you know, top 25 ranked players. There's a long process of breaking down self and becoming a team. And that doesn't happen in November, September. Like, that takes a long time. And so you want the team to peak, as you guys all know, in March, and that time period in the tournament. Obviously you got to win games and you got to get better every day before then, leading up to that. But I think people that have never been in it and don't understand sports, they just see what's on TV, is that it's a long process to get a team to become a team. And I think that's what the battle is for John Calipari every year.
Do you think this started them where you just snap your finger and, okay, they've beaten Tennessee and now here comes a bunch of good stuff? Or is this going to continue to be a constant battle?
Hey, listen, when you're Kentucky, you're going to get everybody's best game every night. That's just the reality of the situation. And so it's going to be a battle. But I think that a win at Tennessee, what that gives for those young guys and that team is confidence. And confidence can completely change a season. I think that was a huge win for them, not just for their team, but for their staff. I think that was a sign of relief in some ways. And I think that will give a lot of confidence moving forward in these next games. And they got CJ Frederick back, who's an experienced guy. He can shoot. That's a lot of that. He provides a lot of value and experience. So I think that this will be a really good spark plug for them as a team.
Watson, say hello to Taylor Barnette.
Taylor, what I talked about it earlier in the week, I want to see if you agree or see it different. What I saw in Kentucky the other night was all the prima donnas dropped the prima donna and went to play and went to win and played their hearts out. I mean, they're all over the place. And they didn't have any scores on the floor. They didn't have a go-to guy. But their defense, their rebounding, their hustle, they're playing about 12 dudes. They're coming in and out all game long. It seemed like nobody cared. They wanted to win that game. The bench was going nuts in the end of the game when they were knocking Tennessee off. If you feel that, that's what I felt. That's the way, to me, they got to play the rest of the year. Just played with that mentality to go win the game and don't care who scores or who gets the touches or whatever, and just go win the game. One night it might be one guy, next night it might be another. If they go back to what I think would be the hardest thing in the world, and you've been around this, is you put that many prima donnas together now, that many high-profile dudes, that's hard.
Yep.
That's hard to get them to buy in. Football, you don't run into that the same way. I never dealt with that like I think I see basketball coaches. So to me, if Kentucky will just carry from that and do what they did, they're going to be a factor and they'll be in the tournament.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you play hard in college, I think one of the hardest things to get kids to understand is, hey, you can win a lot of basketball games just by giving great effort and playing hard. It changes the game. Winning 50-50 balls, diving on the floor, being locked in defensively, guarding your yard, like all those things lead to winning. But when you're in high school and everybody's telling you you're the greatest thing ever and you've got all these Instagram followers and you're doing these one-on-one skill workouts with the best trainer, that's not what's being told. So when guys get to college, you got to break that down and you got to instill the new. And so it takes time. You know, it's breaking down egos to buy into the team. It's dying to self and say, I'm all in. And I think that's what the battle is for John Calipari every day, is to get everybody to buy into what they're trying to do. And clearly they did that on Saturday.
Second thing, Taylor, I was going to throw by you being a coach is what I see. I watch basketball coaches in the big programs, in the really good programs, and they're bringing in these top guys. it looks to me like they've learned not to bring in too many of them in 1 year. And they in football, you want the best player you can get through your scholarship, through your 85. It looks to me like in basketball, they don't do that. And the reason is too many of those dudes are going to be setting the bench, and it makes for a tough spot, or they're playing 5-6 minutes instead of never coming out of a game or whatever. Is my observation right on that? Did that change the mentality of the way you recruit, or am I off base with that one?
That's a good question. I think it's changed in the past couple of years. Now that you can get transfers who have experience, that's changed everything. Obviously there's still unbelievable talent coming out of high school. But if you could get a few good high school players and then get a couple really good transfers who already have 2-3 years of college experience, and then you blend those together, that's easier to do than bringing in 5 or 6 high school players and trying to get them all on the same page who have no college experience. So I think we've seen a little bit of a shift in the past few years. Because, you look at Kentucky, for instance, we'll keep talking about them 6-7 years ago. They're bringing in 5, 6, 7 5-stars, really good players, and building a team from that. The one and dones. Well, now they're getting some transfers. CJ Fredericks, Oscar's been there a little while. So I think it's changed in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Last thing, quick, and then George, give it back to you, Michael. What do you see different in Belmont this year over last? I thought the offense would change philosophically after they lose the big guy. By golly, they've been pretty good so far in the league. Now, they got a long way to go. But how are they different this year over last that you see?
That's a really interesting question. I've gotten to watch them a lot more and go to some games as a former player, which has been fun, and be a little bit more in tune with what's going on in the program. And I just feel last year they had some guys that were fifth-year seniors, and playing 5 years in college is hard.
Yeah.
And I felt as in November of last year, they might have been playing their best basketball. This year, there's a blend with old and young. There's some fresh faces. And I feel as if they have gotten better every single game that they've played in. And I think that's what the potential of this team is that they will get better as the year goes on. And it's exciting. They're in a new league. I think they are really owning the challenge. They got Murray tonight and at Bradley on Saturday. So I just feel like this team has a higher ceiling to continue to get better as the season progresses.
Taylor, this is Michael Cindric. The two of you, I don't think have met yet, but there he is, and I'll turn it over to him.
Taylor, really nice to meet you. George has had a lot of stories, all good stuff about you. Adele was one of the first, just to give himself a little pat on the back. But no, but just a question. You touched on it a little bit with Watson. Just this idea of bringing guys in and having the unity of a team and having everybody play on the same page. Is there disadvantages that you see to the transfer portal? Obviously, an advantage is these guys aren't adjusting to the speed of the game as much as maybe a high school senior is. But when you see that, do you also feel like it is more difficult because those guys have come from college programs to get them on the same page to where they're playing together as a team, where it might be maybe a high school senior more moldable? What is that like? Am I off on that? Just the downside of the transfer portal in college basketball.
Yeah, man, that's a great point. I mean, if you get a guy that's a fifth-year transfer, he's played 4 years in another program, and it might be a completely different system offensively and defensively. And that's a lot of habits to break if you're going to do something different. And I think that's why you have to be really particular and really careful in who you recruit and the team that you're going to put together. A lot of times, like if you're looking for a transfer, like, did he come from a winning program? Okay, he knows what it takes to win. I think it's more about the mentality of a kid and a player than it is about maybe the system that they ran. You can teach that. That's the job of the coach. You have all summer now, all fall. Like, you can teach and really work to get guys on the same page. But what's hard to change is character and coachability. That's at that point in time, that's pretty instilled in dudes. And so you got to really be careful in who you recruit. Are they coachable? Do they play hard? They have character. To me, looking for those things, if they have that, then you can overcome maybe, they were in a system for 3 years. It's completely different.
Yeah, just one more for you. It's the word trap game is a word, and it's a term that we use for a reason. And obviously, going back to Kentucky, I mean, see them lose games they shouldn't, and then go and win a really emotional game at Tennessee. As a coach, tell me from a coach's perspective, what you even think Coach Cal is speaking right now to his team, because they came off this emotional win. I know it'd be, easy to dip. Human nature would be to dip, to lower that effort, to not come and play with that same intensity. What, as a coach, is going through your mind? What do you think is going through Coach Cal's mind as he's getting ready to play games that are still really meaningful, but games that might not get his team up for a game like, everyone was dogging on them. They go to Tennessee. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. I just think that you can't let your highs be too high and your lows be too low. I think that great players and great teams, they have short memories, whether that's good or bad. If you harp on your good moments too long, and you become complacent, you stop working as hard, and all of a sudden you lose a couple in a row. If you get too low, man, like your confidence goes out the window and things start to fall apart. I think Coach Cal, he's been there before. He's been in this exact situation. He knows how important. I mean, he's already thinking about who they got next on that bus ride home from Knoxville. That's just how it goes. So he just has to instill that in the players that, hey, guys, you got to stay humble. You got to stay hungry. And you got to have a short memory, whether it's good or bad.
Taylor, is Ross Boss watching this?
I have no idea.
You have not told him? I mean, he would be so proud because he would know you have arrived.
Oh, man. That's my dad, by the way, Ross Boss.
Ross Boss. You tell Ross Boss we said hello. Appreciate the visit. And spruce up the Iron Curtain a little bit.
Yeah, I'll get some fake helmets and y'all go to the store, okay?
If you'll look right behind, you'll see Atlanta Stadium where Hank Aaron hit home run number 715. It's a very important piece of sports memorabilia.
Hey, I'm really proud of you for, figuring out how to do the mic and the computer screen and all that. I know that iPhones were new to you just a few years ago, so you've really come along.
Taylor.
Are you sure he's the one that's figured it out?
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Way too much credit.
Why do you think he's got these two young kids hired, huh? There are reasons for everything. They are talented, but there are other reasons they're also here.
Oh, I know.
Propping up the elderly.
Yeah.
Someday you'll be there. They serve dinner at 4:30.
Bingo at 5.
Yeah. Thanks as always.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of the day.
Taylor Barnette, he's good. He knows his basketball. There is no doubt about that. When we come back, 2 words, Sean Payton.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Okay, we're back, and that's Sean Payton, who you see in that picture. And it dawned on me late in the third quarter last night that Dallas's victory was an elimination game for Sean Payton. He's not going to Dallas.
Yeah, I thought about that as well. It's, and I wonder, part of me wonders if Dallas loses, I know Sean Payton's been looking at some other jobs. There's been talk. You've got to believe, and I know Watson's mentioned this earlier in the week, you've got to believe that Dallas trumps all those jobs, if it's open. But I wonder if Sean Payton was watching last night and, he just knew that's either I'm going to have to wait more to step back in, or I'm going to have to take one of these jobs that aren't Dallas.
Watson, it seems to me it comes under the category of timing in life is everything. A year ago, I would have bet my bottom dollar that this thing would open for him. I don't see that he can wait much longer to see if Dallas is going to get obliterated in San Francisco, which to me is now the only way the job would open.
I don't even think it opens then. I think he's moved on from that. And I think if he feels these, what are there, 3? I think he's interviewing for all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think if he feels one of those fits him, he's gone. If it's not, I think he'll wait another year. I think he's happy doing what he's doing. And I think it's all in the ball's in his court. And I think he's smart enough from listening to him that he's not going to just take one to take one. He's going to feel good about it. Feels like the operation pieces are all there, and he can work with what's there, have enough power to do what he wants to do. Denver would be the one to me of the 3. That's the one to me that I think that he will end up taking if he takes one this year. But we'll see. I don't know. He's the man. He's the first choice of all 3 of them. We know that. And it's if he takes them or he doesn't. I just don't know. And it's going to be interesting to watch and see. I'm a little bit more of if it don't fit, he won't take it. I just don't think he's just trying to get back in the business, George.
Yeah, Watson, I totally agree with you about Denver being the job to take if out of the 3. Denver's defense is unbelievable already. And really, Sean Payton, can he just be the quarterback whisperer that Russell Wilson needs? The interesting piece, I don't see Carolina. I could be wrong. I don't see that as a fit. The interesting piece is Houston. One, obviously they're going to either get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Does that entice him or does that scare him away? Does he not want to deal with that, or does he like the idea of basically getting to have his pick unless Chicago trades or picks number 1, that he can basically have his pick of who he wants at quarterback between those 2 guys? Kind of interesting, but I agree that I think Denver is the better option. They've got a more complete team right now, but he's got to ask himself if he can fix Russell Wilson.
Watson, I almost fell out of the chair yesterday when he said, I'm certainly open to talking to Houston. I'd be interested in dealing with them. That place is a cesspool. They have treated 2 minority coaches like yesterday's garbage, basically given them both 1 year and then shown them the door when nobody else could have done any better with it than they did. Why is Sean Payton publicly saying, I wouldn't have any problem talking to Houston?
Personally, that he might have interest, but even if he doesn't, George, that's coach talk. I mean, that's being classy. That's not publicly putting somebody down. That's the right way to handle that. And that's why I didn't take much from it. There may be interest. I think he's going to talk to everybody. I think he'll take a flight and go talk to every single one of these. And I don't think anything scares him. I think he is loaded with confidence and thinks he can turn anything around. But he's going to want the pieces there. And part of the pieces is being able to – the GM is a big piece. That's the piece. It's a lot different to have an AD than a GM. A GM is making the decisions on what players come in. An AD is over you, but he's letting you run your program 100%. That's why I've said back before even Michael came on, George, you remember I said one day, if I own one of these teams, there's a door between the GM and the head coach's office. That's it. It goes straight side door that they go back and forth to constantly all day long. And I think that's the biggest piece that I've learned. If those two don't G and Hall, it ain't going to work.
Guys, real quick, I thought this is a good question in the chat room on YouTube. Scott says, why does beating an 8-9 team eliminate Peyton from the Cowboys? I would think the San Francisco game would be more telling.
It could be, but here's the thing. It's 8-9 with Tom Brady.
Right.
That gives it a credibility that's better than Tampa. Tampa's offense was a pile of Gerber's baby food this year, as I have said over and over. But going into last night, the general public truly had no clue which way to go.
Yeah.
I know I went back and forth all day long. Do I go Tampa, assuming Brady has a monster game? Do I go Dallas, but they commit 15 penalties and play stupid football? I didn't think it'd be that easy.
Well, and guys, three years ago, yeah, when they won the Bucs won the Super Bowl, they were a 500 team. They were barely above 500 that year. I don't even know if they won the division. I think the Saints won it. I think they won the division that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think that 500 in the NFL or 8-9 or 9-8 is as big a deal as it is in college football.
Yeah.
I just don't think it is, because they play to get to the playoffs and then make you run. And I didn't think the Bucs were all flustered during the year at any point because they were leading the division. And so I just don't think it's looked at to the person that wrote that. I just don't think they look at it the same in the NFL. And you're right. It was Tom Brady at home. And so that makes it a bigger win to me.
Yeah, completely. I mean, we hadn't seen Dallas win a road playoff game
long
in
time.
My lifetime.
30 years?
In my lifetime. And so it was
30
on the road against the greatest quarterback of all time. And if you watch the game, every single score, Dallas score, they would pan it to Jerry. And Jerry looked like he was
in hog heaven.
In hog heaven. And so
I think he had a couple.
He probably
did. Because he's not gonna have the opportunity to next week.
He was in heaven watching that. And so I think McCarthy keeps his job unless they just go and just get flat out. I mean, 34-3 against San Fran, which sadly is possible. But I don't see it happening.
Let me ask you guys this. With the Cowboys, does that say a little bit that, and I'm not downplaying anything Tom Brady has done this year, and the Bucs, they got into the playoffs, but the fact that Jerry Jones is rejoicing after that, I mean, does that say anything about where the Cowboys are and where their expectations should be? I mean, they could go and beat San Fran next week, but some of those shots, like you mentioned, Michael, were kind of laughable. I mean, I know you beat Tom Brady. I get that. But it's almost like he just won the Super Bowl.
Well, when you're the most scrutinized franchise probably in all of sports, and you're also the guy that, Jerry, he's probably one of the only owners that gets in front of the cameras and does all the hoopla and all this, he hears all the banter. So, when he was seeing his team dominate last night, it probably made it that much sweeter.
It was just funny to me. Some of the shots on Jerry
There were
Jones.
a lot of beautiful people in that suite. Watson, it appeared to me that there were a lot of cocktails flowing.
30 years is a long time. I might have had one myself since you've won a road playoff game. 30, I think it's 31 years.
Yeah.
So I think I would have had a cocktail myself getting ready for that one.
Amazing. So now Sean Payton, look, could the scenario that the guy Scott asked, I think it was Scott, asked about a few minutes ago happen? They get obliterated in San Francisco. Jerry gets ticked off, and all of a sudden he and Sean Payton, do this quick mating dance. Watson, do you think that Payton and Jerry Jones have been frequent phone callers this year?
No more than friendship. They go way back now.
Right.
I mean, he was the offensive coordinator when he went to the Saints, and so this goes way back. So their friendship would make them talk once a week, maybe as it is anyway.
But I don't think make it easier to ask all these questions.
I don't think so yet. I really don't. I don't think Sean would do that. It's one of the worst things in the business you can do, to be backstabbing another coach trying to get his job. That's probably, in my opinion, one of the absolute worst things you could do in the college coaching profession. And I just don't think, I think he's above that. So I don't think they've discussed this job yet. If McCarthy is fired, he knows the phone's going to ring. He knows it's coming straight to him. But I think last night did it. I do not think, even if they lose 35-10 to the 49ers, I think McCarthy will be back.
I got a little dream. You ready for this?
You've had a few dreams in the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good night's sleep will do that.
The Cowboys win next week.
No, that when Sean Payton comes back, the Purdue graduate Drew Brees joins his staff. I believe there's a reason that Drew Brees wanted to be a part of that bowl thing where they got annihilated by LSU. Watson, I wonder, just sort of wonder.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that as a possibility. Yeah, I
Watson,
don't at all. Drew wasn't comfortable in the booth or in the studio, whatever he did. I think he was in the booth,
which is a shame. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, but I think he thought he wasn't comfortable. Is what I'm saying. Not that I thought he was uncomfortable. I think Drew kind of got out of it because he wasn't real comfortable and traveling all the time, just the deal. I think that he didn't feel that was the route he wanted to go. I don't think they got rid of him. I think he told them, this ain't me. This just isn't me.
Watson, do you think Drew would fit better with an NFL quarterback, like a younger NFL quarterback, as opposed to some college quarterbacks?
I think the way the college game is right now, everybody fit better in the NFL coaching quarterbacks, receivers, running backs. I don't care what's going on in college right now. You're not coaching, you're babysitting, and you're just hoping and praying if you speak the wrong word or you don't play him enough snaps that he's leaving the next day and headed somewhere else. So I'm big on right now going to the NFL.
You're recruiting the guys you've already got, Watson.
No, I mean, free agency every day in college. At least it's every 3 years or so in the NFL.
Yep.
And in the NFL, they got to go by a contract before they become a free agent. In college, and somewhere, George, I think it'd be great we talk this at some point, not anytime soon, but just the nature of the beast in college football and what we need to do to fix it, because this thing is a disaster.
And there's a salary cap, Watson.
It's just awful. I mean, it's free agency every single day. How can you ever have any form of structure, any form of a program when a kid can leave and leave as many times as he wants? I mean, they say, well, he's got to go in front of a committee. Who are they turning down? I mean, who's been turned down that transfers to another school right now?
What committee? That's a new one. What committee do you
Well,
have to
if there's a point before, if you had a death in the family and you needed to get back closer to home, or there was a group you went through and they had to okay that to get you out of that transfer, all the rules with transfer. There ain't none anymore. I mean, you just go now, and most of them are leaving for two reasons. Number one's money, absolute money, and number two is playing time.
I heard where Deion Sanders is calling other teams' rosters, any player he wants on another team's roster right now. He's calling them up and saying, "You want to come play at Colorado?"
Well, supposedly that is still illegal, but I don't know if the NC2A cares. I haven't seen them.
There's nobody stating that.
No,
so.
The way they're doing it, guys, the way they're doing this is everybody's got agents now. The coach has got an agent. The player's got an agent. So agent calls agent and says, hey, if he wanted to come out, we might have about $2 million sitting here for him. Not talking to the kid. You're talking to the agent. So there's nothing in the rules right now. He's not family member. He's not anything. So that's what's going on right now. That's the tampering. Is that illegal? Is it illegal? I don't know.
And technically, these collectives, they're not allowed to talk with recruits, but damn well that coaches are talking with collectives indirectly saying,
well,
hey,
how do you think these collectives, Billy, know who to give the money to if they don't talk to the coach?
Right. That's what I'm saying. They say there's rules, but there are no rules.
There are no rules. It's George and I said it 2 years ago, George, when all this first started.
I remember.
Wild, Wild West, babe.
Yeah.
And it's every bit of the Wild, Wild West. And I didn't mean to head there, but at some point we ought to discuss, how do we fix this? What are the things that need to happen to fix this?
We started talking about Sean Payton here.
By the way, on the college front, we have late word. Georgia has just scored again.
They hit 200 yet?
They hit 102. It's now 102-7.
We never talked about this, George. How do you think the Big 12 felt?
That's a gut punch.
TCU felt bad. How about the Big 12? They finally get there. They're in the national championship. Kaboom. I mean, 63-7. Holy cow.
Well, worse will be when they have the 40-year reunion of the national championship team. How did it go?
We had them in the first quarter.
It was only 10-7. What was the final?
Moral victory.
65-7.
It's like when
hold
on. That's like when we went to Oregon when I was at Tennessee Tech. And we had Rick Rogers, who transferred from Tennessee, on our team. Mm-hmm. And we go up 7-0. I said, take a picture of the direct scored on the screen. Take the picture of that. We couldn't get the picture took. They scored in 2 plays. We couldn't even get the picture took quick enough.
Where was lightning when you needed it?
Oh, I'm telling you. And that was Marcus Mariota's first start.
Oh, God.
Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next. We have a 1-game winning streak. And don't you forget it.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
One-game winning streak for George. Let's see if he can keep it rolling tonight. A lot of college hoops action. We'll see where he goes. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night, George, with the Cowboys, and you got to win.
You're darn tootin' we did.
What was the line?
Dallas 2.5.
Only 2.5.
But I'm going to tell you this, Billy. I think more people struggled trying to figure out where that game was going. Nobody saw Dallas in that level of domination. There's always in the back of your mind it's Tom Brady.
Yep.
He pulls rabbits out of hats.
The same's true with Dallas, but the other way. It's okay.
Right.
They've got a great roster, but are 15 penalties for 105 yards. Dak throws 2 picks. I mean, it's the exact same way with Dallas, but the other way.
Yeah. And so I think people really struggled with that number. I don't have anything in front of me. I'm betting that it was fairly close to 50-50 last night in Vegas as to who bet what on whom.
Well, and I'm going to tell you the game's a lot closer. If the Bucks put that in instead of throwing that interception in the end zone, go up 7-6, that stadium gets more electric. I don't think the game ends up the way it was.
Yeah, that was one of those.
That was the turning point of the game right there.
That was one of the plays where you felt like they had to have.
Yeah.
You know, in the moment, it's like, man, they should have had it.
I thought one of the keys to that game, real quick, and get to your bet of the day, was that every time Dallas needed a long drive when their defense had been on the field for a while or when they were backed up,
they got it.
And even if they didn't score, just getting the ball from their own 12 to the 50 and punting and reversing the field, that is gigantic. And so I thought that was a major part of the game because every time they needed it, they got it.
So, Watson, here's where I'm going tonight. I think it's a good thing that Tennessee gets back on the court earlier than Wednesday. You know, they've been hearing it from the Knoxville fan base.
Tony.
Yeah, you're good, but. And now all of a sudden they got to put that away, go to a Mississippi State that is really struggling, has gotten pummeled of late. I think Tennessee wins, and I think they cover. And I want to throw one more thing out there, Watson, and get your reaction. It has gotten on the wire in the last about hour that tomorrow night, Iowa Northwestern has been canceled because of COVID within the Northwestern program.
Ooh, here we
Should
go.
we be worried that
it's back?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've not had this for a while.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a red flag, man. That's not a good one.
That's
not
what
good.
I think.
Not good.
Do different. I know we're getting. I don't want to get into this, but do different schools treat that differently?
No.
Sure.
Like,
no, I don't think they will. If they've got COVID on their team, they can't treat it different. They've got to shut it down if they've got enough cases on their team. You can't mess with that. You get eat alive.
It's just crazy. You forget that.
Hold on. Where I'm going with that is that different schools have policies that are different about during COVID
like
about
Vandy last year.
Vandy had a very difficult policy as far as students going to games, that kind of thing. Go ahead. I know you were.
No, it's just interesting. You don't hear about that. It seems like it keeps popping up every now and then it's but man, to hear that a game might be canceled. And by the way, I don't know if you just saw what just showed up on the clicker on ESPN, but Indianapolis Colts have put in a request for Dan Quinn for head coach.
Yeah, which is no big surprise.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Man,
the difference is I think this time they lose him.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Watson, 2 in a row. It's coming.
Keep the rats on the ship, babe. Got to get another one.
It's going to be a winning streak. You'll be proud of me. Michael, I don't think you'll be proud of me.
No, I want to see more than 2.
Yeah. Billy?
George?
I'm not concerned whether you're proud of me.
Oh, that was touching.
I know. See all of you tomorrow. You try to behave back there behind that deal. Watson, see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys.
See all of you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.